Hi, I'm Lauri DeBrito, and I'm co-owner of Agency for Surrogacy Solutions, and we're located in Los Angeles, California, but we work with intended parents from all over the world. We work with a lot of international intended parents. Probably about 35% of our clients are international ones, and they come from all over. They come from Australia, they come from all different countries in Europe. They come from Asia, they come from South America. So we're pretty well versed in dealing with all the situations and putting a surrogacy together for an international intended parent. A common concern of international intended parents is how are they going to stay connected? How are they going to feel connected to the pregnancy or the surrogacy? And it makes total sense for them to have that kind of concern. That's where we come in. That's where our agency helps, because we make sure that they do stay connected, that they're talking with their surrogate, that they're either communicating through emails, sending photos, Skyping, just so that the bond is nurtured along the way. This pregnancy is their pregnancy, even though the surrogate is carrying their baby. And even though it seems scary at the beginning to think that you're not going to be connected, I can guarantee you that you will be connected to the entire process. And once your baby or your babies are born, you will absolutely feel connected to your children. Surrogacy is an incredibly expensive process. There's no two ways about that. And my feeling is, if you're going to spend that kind of money to have a child, which unfortunately a lot of us have to do for various reasons, it's important to have an agency involved, because doing it independently, you run the risk of not having the right professionals involved, not having a third party to help coordinate things, to help if if problems arise. Oftentimes, if an agency is doing a good job, as I know in our case, if we're doing a really good job, you're probably going to be wondering what we're doing. And that means we're doing a good job, because we're taking care of all the issues so that you're having a problem-free, stress-free pregnancy. We take care of all the details. We make sure that things are happening exactly when they need to be happening, and that everything's getting done legal, psychological, medical. We coordinate everything, plus we stay in touch with your surrogate, we stay in touch with you. We help you through the entire process. So we're taking care of all of the details that would, in essence, be dumped on the intended parent. And most intended parents, when they're going through a surrogacy, don't really have the time or the energy at that point to take care of all the little pieces. So if you don't work with an agency, you run the risk of having a lot of things fall through the cracks. And it may sound fine to have one thing fall through the crack, but if you start to add up a lot of those, you're going to have problems. And those are the things that you end up seeing on the news, on the TV news. Surrogacy is not cheap. I wish it were. I wish it were a more reasonable way for people to have a family, but it is a very expensive process, especially for international intended parents, because they have additional expense of travel, they have additional expense of getting insurance, health insurance for their newborns. There's a few more elements for them. So we typically tell intended parents that they can expect to spend somewhere between $130,000 American dollars up to about $180,000 American dollars. Now that's a lot of money. We understand that. It's not all paid at one time, and a lot varies case to case, whether they need to use egg donation in addition to a surrogate, whether their surrogate gets pregnant with twins, whether their surrogate gets put on bed rest. There's a lot of things that could factor into it that would rise up the cost towards the 180 number, but there's plenty of things that will keep it to the lower number as well. Lately, there's been a lot of talk about doing surrogacy in India, in Russia, several other places. And yes, it's less expensive, that's for sure, but there's a lot of risks that come with it. Surrogacy is pretty well established here in the United States. We work with surrogates from all surrogate-friendly states. California is the most well known, but we work with a lot of other states as well. And the laws here have been in favor of surrogacy for a long time. We have laws. That's the key thing. It might be cheaper to go elsewhere, but you run the risk of running into legal problems. You run the risk of not knowing. IVF procedures are pretty good worldwide at this point, but you don't know how your surrogate's going to be taken care of after she gets pregnant. The prenatal care, her social environment, her medical environment. There's a lot of factors that are still up in the air right now about traveling internationally to do surrogacy. And at this point, even though it's more expensive, in the United States, it's been around a long time. We know what we're doing. The risks are pretty minimal.